We're going to begin with the explosion on the launch pad overnight. A Blue Origin rocket erupted in a fireball during an engine test. Victor Kendo has the story. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning, George. This explosion comes just days after NASA announced a contract worth hundreds of millions of dollars with Blue Origin to carry out various missions to the moon. That massive fireball seen, heard, and felt miles away.
Overnight, a catastrophic failure on the launch pad. A massive fireball erupting, lighting up the night sky over Cape Canaveral, Florida. A Blue Origin rocket exploding. Blue Origin founder Jeff Bezos says all personnel are safe. No one was on board. The company says the rocket experienced an anomaly during an engine test for the massive 320-foot-tall New Glenn rocket. The disaster seen from the air as a passenger jet was on final approach to Orlando. Other views of the explosion showing the blast, sending a massive shockwave rippling through the air. The sound of the explosion taking nearly a minute to reach the camera. Residents in the area who are used to space launches and sometimes failures say this one felt different.
That is crazy and not normal.
This one was more of like a violent shake.
Bezos saying in a statement, it's too early to know the root cause, but we're already working to find it. Very rough day. Elon Musk, the CEO of competitor SpaceX, saying most unfortunate. Rockets are hard. The New Glenn rocket is a reusable vehicle designed to carry heavy payloads to low Earth orbit and eventually the moon. Now, future launches are uncertain as experts predict delays, citing the loss of the rocket, but also the loss of the launch pad.
Early reports are that there's severe damage at the launch site. It's going to take them a long time to rebuild that site.
And NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman saying in part, we will work with our partners to support a thorough investigation of this anomaly, assess near-term mission impacts, and get back to launching rockets. Michael?
Yeah, that was definitely something to see there. Thank you so much, Victor. We're going to go now to the deadly explosion that leveled a two-story apartment complex in Dallas. Morgan Norwood is on the scene in Dallas with the latest for us. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning to you, Michael. And what started as a natural gas leak quickly turning into a deadly explosion. And even here on this scene, at times you can hear the gentle hum of equipment as crews work to repair that natural gas line just beyond this police tape here. And this morning, we're also learning that federal investigators are now looking into this.
We got an explosion.
This morning, 3 dead, including a child, and more fatalities feared after a massive explosion tore through this apartment complex in downtown Dallas.
Our operation with regard to recovery does not end until the entire building has been searched.
First responders arriving within minutes to a reported gas leak when an explosion and fire engulfed the building.
Two-story apartment complex, natural gas explosion, multiple victims.
It sounded like a bomb went off. You could feel it on the ground and in the house shake.
The damage extensive. Apartments left in smoldering ruin. Huge plumes of smoke visible from miles away. More than 100 firefighters battling the blaze.
Everything that wasn't blown to pieces is on fire there. And the concern we have this afternoon with school being out is whether anybody else was inside.
Several people rushed to the hospital, one in critical condition. While the cause of the blast still under investigation, Atmos Energy telling ABC News the fire department reported a construction crew unrelated to Atmos Energy damaged a natural gas pipeline. When asked about that claim, fire officials did not provide further details. Meanwhile, surviving residents say they've lost everything.
We lived there. We lost our pets. We lost everything we owned. I had 3 rescue cats, Marley, Koi, and York, and we had 2 dogs.
And still so many out of their homes this morning. Again, we are learning that the NTSB is joining the investigation. While they're typically known for investigating transportation incidents, plane crashes, train crashes, they often step in during these natural gas line explosions, just like the one here in Dallas. We expect that crew on the ground, George, sometime later today.
Okay,
George.
Morgan, thanks very much. The latest now on the war with Iran. Deliberations continue over a short-term agreement that would reopen the Strait of Hormuz and defer a deal on nuclear issues amid dueling airstrikes this week. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce is tracking the developments. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. And after weeks of whiplash, sources tell us that President Trump this morning is now weighing this potential deal that could reopen the Strait of Hormuz, buying time for broader nuclear negotiations. But Trump still hasn't signed off yet. This morning, sources tell ABC News U.S. and Iranian negotiators are closing in on a short-term deal to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. But President Trump has yet to give his seal of approval.
I negotiate. They negotiate. They're very good negotiators. They're crafty. But in the end, we have all the cards.
Officials say the framework would see the strait fully reopened over 60 days, Iran loosening its chokehold on the critical waterway, while the U.S. gradually pulls back its naval blockade of Iranian ports. But the toughest negotiations are still to come. This tentative deal says nothing of what happens to Iran's nuclear program, the central issue in this conflict. The president's stated reason for starting this war to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
There are a couple of issues on the nuclear stuff, the highly enriched stockpile, and also the question of enrichment. So, we're going back and forth with them.
Some experts skeptical.
And for the Iranians, they have now come out major, far ahead of where they could imagine. The nuclear issue, the missiles, and the proxy issues are now off the table, and they're only focusing on the Straits of Hormuz.
Yeah. Another sticking point, U.S. sanctions on Iran. The president has said lifting those is a non-starter. But now Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent not ruling it out. Just to be clear, is sanctions relief for Iran on the table?
Again, it is a multifaceted agreement, and nothing is going to be on the table until we see the Strait of Hormuz open and the Iranians agree that they have to turn over the highly enriched uranium and that they can't have a nuclear program.
Now, news of this potential short-term deal came just hours after the U.S. and Iran traded strikes, but still, the White House insists the ceasefire is holding. The vice president telling reporters, quote, ceasefires are always a little messy. Rebecca.
Very high stakes there. Okay, Mary, thank you. We're going to go now to a reality check on the economy and some possible warning signs starting to show up. Americans are saving less and incomes aren't keeping up with prices rising. Elizabeth Schulze is here to break those numbers down for us. Good morning, Elizabeth.
Good morning, Rebecca. And these higher prices are taking a toll. New government data shows Americans are saving less of their income than at any other time in the last 4 years. The personal savings rate dropped sharply to 2.6% in April. 1 year ago, it was twice that high. And typically in a healthy economy, that savings rate is around 6%. So this does suggest that people are dipping into their savings to help pay for essentials like gas and groceries as those prices spike. Overall, prices in the economy right now are going up at the fastest pace in 3 years. So the inflation rate is 3.8%. Importantly now, Americans' paychecks are not keeping up with inflation. So on average, wages are up 3.6% in the past year. We have seen consumer spending has been very resilient, but some major retailers are warning of those signs of stress. Costco just reported record-breaking sales of gas. Shoppers are looking for lower prices there, and Costco said that a lot of those sales are from shoppers who are coming there for the very first time.
People are stretched and they're looking for options.
Exactly.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you.
All right,
Michael?
Thanks. All right, thank you. Now to the breaking news this morning for commuters. An Amtrak train catching fire near New York City's Penn Station. Eric Katersky is tracking the latest for us. Good morning, Eric.
Hey, good morning, Michael. I stopped at Penn Station on the way in this morning. Eerily quiet because there's no trains, and this is a real headache for morning commuters and for anybody trying to get into or out of New York City for the nice spring weekend. Around 1:30 this morning, an Amtrak work train caught fire just west of Penn Station beneath 10th Avenue. You can see the flames in this photo from a passenger on a New Jersey Transit train who told us somebody yelled there was a fire on the track. There was a very loud explosion. This passenger said his train shook. The fire is out now, but while workers clear the tracks, all service to point south is suspended for at least the rest of the morning and possibly longer. Amtrak says travel to points north of New York City is significantly delayed, George.
Big travel mess. Okay, Aaron, thanks very much. Now to the deadly Ebola outbreak. American doctors and nurses are headed to the front lines as doctors in Central Africa report an alarming spread of the virus, calling it out of control. Matt Rivers is at New York's JFK Airport, one of the airports screening for the virus. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, George. As the U.S. health officials begin to screen passengers here at JFK, doctors on the front lines of that fight against the Ebola virus saying the outbreak is, quote, completely out of control.
This morning, the U.S. government deploying a team of 30 doctors, nurses, therapists, and more to work at a quarantine site in Kenya with 50 beds set up for Americans if exposed to the Ebola virus instead of flying them back to the United States. But that plan drawing criticism from World Health officials and medical specialists. The Infectious Disease Society of America says it's, quote, deeply concerning and raises serious questions about resources, timing, and the level of care Americans sent there will receive. Dr. Ashish Jha calling it a mistake.
American doctors, American nurses are a major force in bringing these things to a close. Now you're telling them, by the way, if you get exposed, you can't come home.
The administration defending its decision this week.
The State Department and other agencies represented here, the Centers for Disease Control, HHS, others, are working very, very hard to contain this crisis to the countries where it's currently located, particularly the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
In just 2 weeks, reported infections now topping 1,000 cases.
There are a few things that set this outbreak apart. One is the momentum. The huge West Africa outbreak that caught the world's attention back in 2014, and which I worked on for USAID, took about 4 months to get to 1,000 cases. And that was really a turning point when it exploded. This outbreak already seems to be at that point.
Now, overnight, the Kenyan High Court temporarily suspending those plans, saying no one infected by or exposed to the Ebola virus will be allowed inside of Kenyan borders. Unclear what that means for U.S. plans at the moment. Meanwhile, screenings ramping up here at JFK and at airports in Virginia, Atlanta, and Houston.
The number one player in the world was on the brink of victory in France, but then the match took a turn. Sophie Flay, you got that for us.
Yeah, Michael, that's right. Jannik Sinner was the overwhelming favorite to win the French Open. He's now been eliminated after a scorching set. He was just one game away from advancing to the third round when it looked like he started to cramp up. Sinner bent over on the court, exhausted, attempting to cool himself off with a fan and ice around his neck. The Italian tennis player saying he felt sick before the match even started. Europe is experiencing record-breaking heat with temperatures in the 90s, but the heat isn't slowing down the Americans. Defending champion Coco Gauff advancing in straight sets. Gauff excited for another reason, too, the possibility of tennis legend Serena Williams making a return to the court. The Surge podcast reports she may compete next month in London. Williams has not made any announcements, but has cleared certain anti-doping protocols that would make her eligible, you guys.
That would be exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's go from tennis to basketball. NBA playoffs last night.
Let's do it. We had a big one last night, guys. Good morning. It had to be this way. The top two teams in the NBA all year, they have a genuine rivalry. Each team has a player with a claim to being the best in all of basketball. It's been a hard-fought, evenly matched series. It had to go to a Game 7.
The Spurs have pulled it off.
It's official. A monumental Game 7 will decide who from the Western Conference earns their spot in the NBA Finals. The San Antonio Spurs dominating the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder 118-91 in a physical and chippy matchup.
And he barks it home, Green.
Victor Wembanyama all over the game with 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks.
It's been his offense tonight.
The Spurs blowing it open with a 20-0 run in the third quarter.
Crossover to there by Castle. Castle rolls it over the rim and one.
Some familiar faces waiting to greet the team as they ran out from the tunnel to start the game. 8 of the Spurs sisters waving and getting high fives from the starting 5.
Well, the sisters are here.
The Silesian sisters keeping the faith, literally, that their team would prevail. The series now moves to Oklahoma City, where MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder are looking for back-to-back trips to the finals. The winner will face the New York Knicks.
Coming out here with a chance to go back, OKC and play a Game 7, I feel like that's all the motivation you need.
Can't wait for Game 7. The Knicks, meanwhile, they're back at practice. They got some potentially really bad news. Center Mitchell Robinson, who has been so crucial to their success, he broke his pinky, and the timeline for his return is being called uncertain. So Knicks fans are holding their breath as we all hold our breath with bated breath for the NBA Finals.
He broke it in practice?
Yeah, something like that, wow. And we'll see if he can play. But it would be great if he's ready for the finals on Wednesday on ABC, 8:30 Eastern. That's where I'll be watching.
Yeah, rub some dirt on it. That's what my coach would say. Put some dirt on it, son.
Your fingers, I mean, you have some.
I'm not going to show people my face. I'll let you having breakfast.